Whew, I got to take a break. Taking a break is brought to you by our good friends here at Banks Boats. What is taking a break? Well, I guess I'd have to say it's everything else that I enjoy about our sport of waterfowling. It's all about the ducks, the dogs, and the decoys.
Jim, the Delta Marsh. I finally made it here. I've read about it in books. I've read about it in magazines. I'm a member of Delta Waterfowl, and I finally got a chance to get here. This is just an incredible place. I appreciate you inviting us to stop by and talk to you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Jeff. It's our pleasure to have you here in our historic Kirkoffer Lodge right on the Delta Marsh. And we're looking out over a couple of the bays here on the Delta Marsh, 50,000 acre marsh, and real hunting history here, as well as the starting place or the birthplace of Delta waterfowl.
Well, today is day number 1 of duck season. It's late
Yes.
September, and with the U.S. citizen that I am, today's the first day I got to shoot ducks. We've been here a few days, tried to shoot some snow geese and all, but
Yep.
today it was just cool for me to get out, finally get out on the marsh. Saw canvasbacks, redheads, bluebills, saw some goldeneye, some bufflehead, some puddle ducks, probably saw about 9 different species. Man, just beautiful morning, very windy, which was kind of conducive to what we were trying to do.
Want, yeah.
And my oldest lab, Coot, she's 8.5 years old. I finally got to get her here, and she retrieved some canvasback, redhead, and bluebill here. So it was actually a really good morning for us. So.
Yeah, the Delta Marsh is quite renowned for its diver hunting, and that's how I grew up here on the Delta Marsh, shooting divers. And of course, the bluebill is my favorite of all the divers. But of course, with Delta Waterfowl, our logo is a canvasback, so we really take our divers seriously around here.
Can is king.
That's right.
The name Delta, the Delta Marsh, Delta Waterfowl, what does Delta mean?
Yeah, it's kind of funny you asked that. I remember traveling all over America and stuff, and especially when we were down south, people would ask us when we had our booth and trying to sell a membership to Delta. They'd say, well, is this the Delta Mississippi? They were kind of curious, and wondering. But it's actually, our organization started here in Manitoba on the Delta Marsh. And we have had a research station here going back to the 20s. And the name Delta actually comes from the rail lines that used to go across Manitoba, where they named them Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta. And so there was an actual turnstile that goes out into Lake Manitoba that they used to haul gypsum down from the north here to a rail line, and then haul it down to Portage la Prairie and on to the markets.
That's interesting. So it's possible this could have been the Alpha Marsh?
It could have been the Alpha Marsh, and we might have been Alpha Waterfowl, but we got Delta Waterfowl, which has a nice ring to it.
It does have a nice ring to
Yeah.
it. But I've just always been curious of that name. And again, once I got here, I still didn't really, after seeing we've ridden, rode around a little bit, saw things, and I just didn't really get where did Delta come from.
Yeah, it is that rail station, and of course Delta means the joining of rivers into a bigger body like a lake or an ocean. And we do have a big lake here, so it is somewhat confusing, but the Lake Manitoba is actually connected to the Delta Marsh, and there's several creeks that connect the lake and the marsh together, and so the health of the marsh is really related to the health of the lake, and the water levels and carp and stuff that have access to the two water bodies are really intertwined. And so that in a sense is kind of a delta, kind of the same type of thing there.
Okay, the Delta Marsh is located on the southern end of Lake Manitoba.
That's right.
Can you explain to me a little bit, what is the actual size of, I guess, Delta Marsh proper? I mean, I've ridden, and it seems like there's quite a bit of marsh in different areas. What actually, the Delta Marsh, what's its size?
Yeah, the Delta Marsh itself is 50,000 acres, and Lake Manitoba is a huge lake that runs for over 100 miles north-south, and there's several marshes along that lake, and so they're all kind of connected. And so what they did in the 1960s was they actually dammed Lake Manitoba, and with that dam, of course, the lake, rather than having water fluctuations over time of 5 to 6 feet, so in dry periods, maybe a 3-year span of drought, we'd see lake levels 5 feet lower than in real wet years. And so any marsh across the continent or the world needs water levels to change over time in order to stay healthy. And unfortunately, when they put that dam in on the exit river called Fairford River, they regulated the lake level so that it only fluctuated about a foot. And so that has huge implications on the marsh system itself and the Delta Marsh. If we were to try and rejuvenate the Delta Marsh to past historic levels, it used to be just a phenomenal duck hunting area. Now it's still pretty good, but it doesn't hold a candle to what it used to be. And so what needs to be done, there's talk now of managing carp in the marsh, which would be really good. And also we need to also be thinking about that water regime, and can we, maybe we can get it to 3 or 4 feet fluctuations and still create that healthy marsh.
I do know that Delta Waterfowl was founded and formed in 1911. What is the age and history of the building that we're in?
Yeah, this is an interesting building. This is Kirkoffer Lodge. It was a building built for the return of King George VI, who was here as the Duke of York back in 1903, believe it or not, hunting canvasbacks right in the bay south of us here right now. And the senator from Brandon, the Senator Kirkoffer, because the original building burned, he built it in the 1920s in anticipation of the king coming back, and he never did come back for whatever reason. And so now the original location was about 5 miles east down the ridge between the lake and the marsh here on Lake Manitoba. And it was moved in the 1950s to this current location. And the general public can come and see it. And it's quite a historical building. Lots of neat mounts in here and a lot of history. Our students have been coming here going back for 60 years. Coming here and eating lunch and telling and probing and learning more about ducks, that ongoing quest we have at Delta Waterfowl to really learn what drives duck populations. And a lot of great conversations have happened in this building.
That was Taking a Break, sponsored by our good friends here at Banks Boats. You know what? Mike says, break time's over, get back to work.